Hello, doggy. There's somebody over there as well. Is there? It's a very nice tree. Leave him alone. Let me tell you an incredible story about a company that once employed 10,000 men, employed half the workforce of Oldham, and was the largest textile machine manufacturer in the world. At the top of Knicker Brow, here in Dobcross, still stands Bridge House, and the original workshop and smithy of Henry Platt. A site so important in Oldham's history, it even has its own blue plaque. Knicker is spelt with an N, not a K, meaning to give a soft, breathy horse whinny. By 1770, the Industrial Revolution was well underway, and blacksmith Henry Platt was making carding machines for the local woolen mills of Saddleworth. Until now, these machines, like many others of the time, were made of wood by local craftsmen to use in their own personal cottage industries. But these timber frames could not stand up to the pressures of mass production required by the new water and steam powered mills. A new material was needed. The answer was iron. Henry's expert skills in iron were in high demand during the development of the textile industry, and it was necessary to remove the stone door arms of Bridge House to allow larger items of machinery to be delivered to the customer. But some of you are now probably asking, what is carding? Carding is the process of separating individual fibres using a series of dividing and redividing steps that causes many of the fibres to lie parallel to one another, also removing the remaining impurities. Carding may be done by hand, using hand carders, pinned wooden paddles, not unlike steel dog brushes, but we are focusing on the drum carders, into which the washed wool fleece or cotton was fed through one or more of the pinned rollers to prepare the fibres for spinning. Carding produces a thin sheet of uniform thickness that can then be condensed to form a thick, continuous, untwisted strand called silver. In due course, Henry's son, John, who was named after Henry's older brother, continued the blacksmithing and farrier name. He continued this task and served the community long after Henry's death. John Platt was joined in the forge by his three sons, one of which was Henry Platt, who was born in 1793 and named after his grandfather. He was a determined young man and would go on to create one, if not the largest establishment in the world. By 1815, the expanding business required larger premises, and Henry moved out of Dobcross to the new workshop here in Upper Mill, which is now part of the Wagon Inn. Originally designed to manufacture wool machinery, Henry was approached by Samuel Radcliffe about making card machines for the now booming cotton industry. By this time, the cotton industry had eclipsed the old woolen industry by an astonishing rate and was still growing. There was no textile machine makers in Oldham. The nearest was Dobson and Barlow in Middleton. Radcliffe and Platt saw ample opportunity to supply the many mills opening closer to home. By 1821, Henry Platt and his wife, Sarah Whitehead, moved to new premises yet again. In those 6 years, they had married in 1815 and had 2 children, Joseph and John. They were now here at Ferny Bank on Huddersfield Road, close to the heart of Oldham town centre, making transportation of all goods and machinery far easier. He employed 6 men to aid him in the construction of carding machines. After 1 year's progress, and being favourably accepted by the cotton spinners of Oldham, Henry found himself in financial difficulties. Unable to even pay his staff, Henry asked for a loan from Mr. Norton, a man of financial matters. Mr. Norton said he had a better solution and put Henry in contact with Elijah Hibbert, who had completed several engineering projects in the Oldham area. So as of 1822, the company of Hibbert and Platt came into effect. With Elijah Hibbert's wide commercial experience and Henry Platt's inborn ingenuity to make vast market openings, a vast new market opened up to them. This, of course, meant they had to expand yet again. The first Hibbert and Platt factory, dedicated to supplying every machine a mill owner could need, began production in 1824, employing 50 men. It was located on Mount Pleasant here in Oldham. This was the most profitable venture for both parties, as between 1824 and 1825, Oldham became the largest cotton town in Lancashire. Huge mills, powered by enormous steam engines, required larger machines and many more of them. 1829, and again they are expanding, this time into what was an old cotton mill, with plenty of room to spread out, which will definitely be needed in the coming years. Grinnikers Moor was named after the acres of green land once visible, but by the beginning of the 19th century, these fields of green had been swallowed by the local industries. The newly named Hertford Works expanded rapidly. All the surrounding buildings were either repurposed or torn down to make room for foundries and workshops. No longer is Hibbert and Platt reliant on outside suppliers. Whatever they need, they make it on site. Pioneers in the concept of mass production, well before many other branches of the engineering industry. A single mule comprised of hundreds of identical spindles. By 1839, the workforce had reached 400 people, and it was decided to admit as partners Henry's two eldest sons, Joseph and John. The two young men had worked in the business from an early age, and though their formal education was simple, their knowledge of the business and their technological understanding was profound. The firm changed its name to Hibbert, Platt and Sons. On the 11th of November 1842, Henry Platt passed away. He was 50. The unremitting hard work and constant exposure to Oldham's far from healthy atmosphere had taken its toll. He was laid to rest here at Hope Chapel, a short distance from the empire he had created in Oldham. His widow Sarah survived him for a further 18 years before she was laid to rest alongside her husband. From here at Hope Chapel, he could still watch over Horwich Works. Henry Platt had given Oldham an industry to be proud of, but fate had decided he would not survive to see the most lucrative opportunities Hibbert, Platt and Sons would ever receive: the coming of the railways.